Imagine moving into your dream home, only to find out your neighbor has been secretly stealing from you for years. Well, that's exactly what happened to me. And when I finally exposed his little scheme, his entire life crumbled in a single night. Have you ever wished you could watch karma finally catch up to someone who thinks they're untouchable? Well, stick around. And hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy a good revenge story. Because this one, it's not just about water. It's about pride, entitlement, and one of the most satisfying revenge plans I've ever pulled off myself. When I first bought my house in the capital, I honestly thought I'd hit the jackpot. The previous owners were old family friends who needed money fast, and since the place had been sitting empty for 3 years, I managed to buy it at a bargain. But from the very first day, I realized this wasn't going to be the smooth ride I had imagined. The place was only half renovated, the front door was literally just locked with a padlock, and there wasn't even a proper gate. Basically, anyone who felt like it could just wander straight into my yard. And sure enough, people did wander in. On my very first day, I pulled up with boxes in hand, only to find a random motorcycle parked in my garage, like it owned the place. I rolled it out onto the street, got a proper gate installed, and thought, alright, problem solved. But that evening, some furious guy showed up and pounded on my new gate for 15 minutes straight before finally giving up and took his bike away. That was my very first taste of the neighborhood, and honestly, it left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. For a little while, things seemed okay. Sure, a few people kept parking in front of my gate, but once I put up a big bold "no parking" sign, they finally backed off. I thought I was in the clear. But then one evening, while I was in the shower, something weird happened. The water pressure just dropped. Not a little trickle either. It went from a steady stream to this pathetic drizzle. And that's when I heard it, the low rumbling sound of a water pump coming from next door. My neighbor was this older guy who lived on the ground floor of a 3-story house. The top 2 floors were rented out to tenants, but he had a bit of a reputation. Everyone knew him as the angry, bitter type. And he made it very clear that he wasn't happy my friends had sold their house to me. He thought it should have been kept, for the neighborhood. So there I was, standing in the shower with shampoo still in my hair, when it suddenly hit me, wait a second. Is this guy actually stealing my water? So I decided to test my theory. The second his pump shut off, I turned on my taps, and boom, the pressure was suddenly back to normal. At first, I thought maybe it was just a coincidence. But after checking again and again, the pattern was too perfect to ignore. Every time his pump ran, my water pressure died. The moment it stopped, everything was fine. And that's when it all clicked. Those ridiculous water bills from when the house was empty? Everyone said it must have been leaky pipes. Nope. It was him. This old man had been siphoning water for years, treating it like it was his God-given right, just because no one lived here to call him out. I couldn't find the exact place where he tapped in, but honestly, I didn't need to. The truth was crystal clear. He'd been stealing all along, completely unbothered, because he thought no one would ever catch him. Now, here's the thing. Water in my country is dirt cheap. Even with 3 dogs, weekly car washes, and a garden to take care of, my bill hardly touched $5 a month. So no, this wasn't about money. It was about the principle. About some entitled old man thinking he had the right to take my resources, use my property, and mess with my peace. And once that sank in, there was no way I was letting it slide. I didn't go banging on his door. I didn't yell or start a fight. That would have been too easy for him. No, I wanted him to feel it. I wanted him to face consequences that would hit harder than anything I could ever say to his face. My plan was almost laughably simple. Every time I heard his pump kick on, I'd just slip over to the main valve in my house and shut my water off. That's it. No breaking any laws, no stepping foot on his property, nothing he could use as proof against me. Just one quick twist of the wrist. And then, I'd wait. That first night, I heard it. Brrrm. His pump kicked in. I couldn't help but smile. I walked outside, turned my valve, and shut my water off. Now, here's the thing about water pumps. If they keep running without water, they don't just stop. They suck air. Endlessly. Waiting for water that's never coming. And if you're really unlucky, you burn out your pump. You overheat the wiring. You trip your whole system. And that's exactly what happened. By 3 in the morning, I woke up to shouting. The tenants upstairs were furious. No water, no electricity, and no explanation. Meanwhile, their landlord, Yep, the same greedy old neighbor who'd been stealing from me, was getting chewed out by his own tenants for failing the most basic responsibility: keeping their essentials running. The fallout. Honestly, it was beautiful. See, tenant protection laws here are no joke. Water and electricity are considered essential services, and landlords can get slapped with heavy fines if they cut them off, even by accident. By the very next day, both tenants had gone straight to the police with complaints. And within a week, one of them had already packed up and left for good. As for the old man, he got hit with a $500 fine. On top of that, he was forced to refund both security deposits, money he clearly didn't have lying around. And to make it even worse, the authorities wouldn't let him rent the apartments again until he repaired both the electrical wiring and the plumbing system. That alone was going to cost him a fortune. So just like that, his tenants, his only real source of income, were gone. And with no way to cover the bills, he had no choice but to pack up and move in with his daughter. A few days later, he shuffled up to my gate. His face looked calm, but his eyes were practically burning holes through me. "Did you turn off your water?" he asked. I just smiled, keeping it casual. "Oh yeah," I said. "Had a leak in one of my pipes, so I shut it off until the plumber could fix it." The silence that followed was heavy. He gave a single nod, muttered, "Okay," and turned back toward his house. But the look on his face, that tiny crack in his mask, that was my real victory. He knew. He knew that I knew. And the best part? He also knew there wasn't a damn thing he could do about it. This man, who thought he could steal from me and face no consequences, lost everything in less than a week. His tenants. His income. Even his home. And all of it, because I turned a tap. No shouting. No threats. No violence. Just pure, poetic karma. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's sitting back and letting someone destroy themselves with their own greed. And in my case, all it took was one simple twist of a valve to bring justice crashing down. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed?